Hello, this is Fanfiction Spot coming with another part 7 of What If Naruto Had a Gaming System or Solo Leveling. Please like and subscribe, and without any delay let's get started. Chapter 7, Kiryu and Toradora. A couple of hours later. Sub-Area 2, Training Ground 13. I hate moles. Naruto yelped as he dodged the attack of yet another chakra-mutated mole as it attempted to hit him with its heavy digger claws. LV6 Slavering Star Mole. Almost as soon as he entered this sub-area, these damned moles had attacked him. They came from underneath the ground and swiped with those damn oversized front claws. If it wasn't for his detect bloodthirst skill, he'd be in a world of hurt. So now he used his IWA Bunshin to lure the bastard things to the surface so he could cut the bastard things to bits with Kunao. Thing is, they seemed to have an uncanny knack for being able to sniff out where he was and move to attack him. Kuso. He cursed, what the hell is with these things? How are they finding me? Pulling out a pair of shuriken, Naruto infused them with wind chakra and took aim. Futon. Kaiten shuriken. He snarled before throwing them at the nearest mole. The two shuriken whirled in the air before descending upon their target, carving bloody rents in its fur and flesh as Naruto manipulated them from just under 4 meters away. This was the one part of his gamer abilities he hated, the need to level up all of his skills in order to improve them. Sure, it made sense, after a fashion, but it was still boring to do, unless you were fighting like this. With a shriek, the mole sagged to the ground, dead at last. These moles had thick fur that seemed to act as a kind of armor. Not that it helped much against wind chakra. Tiredly, Naruto regarded the window that popped up. Slavering Star Mole X3 defeated. You gain 600 EXP. Futon, Kaiten Shuriken has leveled up. LV1, LV2. Doton, IWA Bunshin has leveled up. LV2, LV3. Self-taught Bajutsu has leveled up. LV1, LV2. Not bad for the second mob, Naruto remarked. He trotted over to the corpses that were dissolving and revealing the loot. There was a nice wad of Ryo from each of them, about 750 each, in addition to a cured moleskin or two. Finally, there was a scroll, another crafting recipe, for moleskin gloves. That's that. Now how do I find the boss? Naruto mused aloud. He sighed as another window popped up. Slavering Star Mole slain, 6/25. Grinding Grand Mole slain, 0/10. Helpful. The blonde orphan commented, now, time to replenish my clones. The moles had killed over half of his clones, smashing and rending at them with their claws. After that, he decided to inspect his stats. Status he commanded. Name, Uzumaki Naruto. Class, the gamer. Level, 6 next level, 41.03%. Title, Academy Student, plus 25% EXP to LV10. Age, 12. HP, 800/800. CP, 800/800. STR, 18, -5. STA, 38, -5, plus 10. Dex, 19, -5. Int, 16, plus 5. WIS, 18. Luck? Not bad, but still too heavily biased towards stamina. He said with a disbelieving look, how the hell is it so high? Yeesh. Resolving to discover the secret of his insane stamina at a later point, Naruto closed the window and set about luring out the moles. Sub-Area 2 was pretty much the same as Sub-Area 1, except the trees were clustered slightly more densely together. The first time he fought a grinding grand mole, he got a shock. Slavering Star Moles were only about the size of a Labrador, while these bad boys were the size of a Shetland pony. The digger claws were the size of dustbin lids and the blunt claws were still sharp enough to draw blood. Still, all of the mole monsters had one key weakness: they were very, very slow. While one IWA Bunshin distracted them, 3 more stabbed and whacked away with Gansutsukan, while the real Naruto attacked with his Kaiten Shuriken from a distance and occasionally restoring clones that had been destroyed. Finally, he grunted as he killed the last mole that he needed to complete his hunting list. Just as he finished speaking, the ground started to tremble, sending Naruto and his clones stumbling across the ground. What? What the heck's going on, Databia? He yelped before he was thrown back by something erupting from beneath the ground, something far larger than any mole he'd faced before. It was massive, the size of a 1-story house, and it was only halfway out of the ground. Black velvety fur, a short snout with jaws concealing sharp fangs and massive digging claws that were each large enough to pick up a grown man quite comfortably. Oh, observe. Naruto croaked as he looked at the field boss in awe. LV8, Majrawagara, the massive mole. A common mole mutated by oversaturation of chakra, this one has reached truly massive proportions. A large amount of Doton chakra was used in this area of the field, allowing this chakra mutant to use bastardist Doton ninjutsu. Special status, slow and purposeful, iron muscles, Doton sensing, paralyzing toxin. Special abilities, territorial aggression. Oh, dear Kami. Naruto breathed. He pressed slow and purposeful with a trembling finger. slow and purposeful, passive. You may move slowly, but it is always with a purpose. With the appropriate force behind your movements, nothing can stop you. Large creature only. Reduces movement speed by 50%. Allows holder of this skill to ignore skill interrupt and attack interrupt effects. Increases knockback effect by 50%. Note to self, do not get in the way of those damn claws, he thought with a sweat drop. He'd be sent flying into the Hokage monument. Doton sensing, active. Because of either natural ability or extreme training, you can use your skills with Doton ninjutsu to detect the movements of anything that touches the earth and rocks around you. Usually, this technique is developed to make up for poor or non-existent sight. Particularly skilled users can even read attacks based on the weight distribution of people standing on the earth. Allows the user an 80% chance of detecting enemies standing on the ground. Allows the user a 20% chance to read the attack of an enemy as long as they execute it on the ground. Costs 30 CP/minute. So that's how the bastards were tracking me, Naruto exclaimed before swearing up a storm. Paralyzing toxin, active/passive. You have in your possession a powerful toxin that causes paralysis after entering the bloodstream of your opponents. Whether it is smeared on a sword, loaded into a poison dart or a natural part of your saliva, it matters not. The only issue is actually getting it into the enemy's bloodstream. If a natural part of the user's body passively grants full immunity to your own toxin and a 50% resistance to similar types of toxins, actively grants a 55% chance of poisoning an enemy with the status effect paralysis if struck by a toxin-loaded weapon. Medium used for toxin, saliva. Territorial aggression, passive. You hate it when others of your own gender enter your territory and immediately attack any aggressively. Woe betides any who enter your territory incautiously. Gender affected, male. Passively forces you to attack the nearest applicable target on sight. Passively adds 20% to hit ratio against all applicable enemies. Crap on a stick. Naruto swore, shit, well, nothing to it but to do it. He had not come this far to be beaten by an oversized wallet, damn it. Right, you lot. Attack from a distance with Gansatsukan. Naruto ordered 6 clones, the rest of you get up close and personal. Stab and slash the bastard. What'll you be doing, boss? One IWA Bunchin asked suspiciously. I'll be in there with you. Naruto grinned, if this guy can track my location like the others, hiding is pointless as long as I'm touching the ground, so I might as well see how well this guy does at finding someone climbing all over him. With that said, Naruto and his IWA Bunchin set to work. First off, the IWA Bunchin all fired a Gansatsukan barrage that struck the mole in various locations, including one lucky shot that hit it in its right eye, blinding it. Enemy right eye blinded? Vision remaining, 110 degrees on the left? Majra let out a wild animalistic scream of pain before slamming its paw on the ground, sending a massive lump of compressed earth towards Naruto and his clones. Scatter! Naruto yelled as he moved like greased lightning to avoid the rock attack. His clones were just as quick on the uptake, but one was crushed nevertheless. Damn it! Naruto cursed. 1/12 of his line of battle gone already? What the heck was that? It had hit the ground and the next thing, a large boulder popped out? Must be a jutsu. He concluded in irritation, same plan as before. You 5 with me, the rest of you turn that mole into a pincushion. Right. The IWA Bunchin shouted. With a roar of challenge, Naruto and 5 of his clones charged the mole, sticking to its blind side, while the other 6 started peppering Majra with Gansatsukan as fast as they could create them. This strategy hadn't been possible during the battle against the Berserk Fox Squirrel, as it and its minions had been fast and agile, able to dodge and attack any clones who had hung back to throw anything. Against Majra on the other hand, this was a very feasible one as there were no minions and the mole was slow. Damn, this mole's got tough skin. One IWA Bunchin growled as he shoved his stone spear into the field boss hide. Iron muscles, remember. The original barked back, now less talk, more stabbing. Majra growled at the attacks and swiped blindly at Naruto's clones with its right paw. They all dodged, but the attack had been eerily accurate, passing right through where they had been standing, probably thanks to the Doton sensing skill it possessed. Keep moving. Naruto ordered, stab and move. Don't stay in one place for too long or it'll get you. Following his own advice, Naruto used the tree climbing skill to climb on top of the boss and started stabbing it all over its body, even as the long-distance group kept up a steady bombardment of Gansatsukan. Driven half-mad by the pain, Majra lashed out wildly with his claws, smashing 3 of the closest clones into rubble, making Naruto growl in frustration. Because of the lower limit imposed by his ability, the smallest number of rock clones he could create was 5, and the most he could have out was 12, thus until at least one more was destroyed, he couldn't replenish his army. A window popped up a few minutes of stabbing that made him growl in frustration. 6 of your IWA Bunchin have run out of chakra and crumbled to pieces. He leapt off of the back of the field boss and quickly summoned more clones so he had the maximum limit out again. He hated barfing up rocks, so that's why he got off the mole. You know, aside from the fact he can squash my clones in a single hit, this is actually far easier than that damn squirrel with the demon fox's chakra. Naruto though as he leapt over one large claw swipe of the boss, unlike that one, I can read this one's attacks much better and dodge out of the way before it hits me. It was true. While the field boss possessed a high defense thanks to its iron muscles and had a high attack because of its sheer size and slow and purposeful ability, the mole's lack of speed made this a far easier fight than the sub-area 1 boss fight. After about an hour of cutting the damn mole up, a window popped up. Madara is retreating? Kill the minions it summons in less than 5 minutes or it will have 25% of its health restored when it re-emerges? Naruto yelped. What the hell was with this? With a long moan, Madara retreated underground, slipping back into the hole from which it had emerged. Erupting from the ground around the hole in its place were 3 grinding grand moles, joined by a large window to one side with a timer that started counting down. 5 o'clock, 4:59. Kill M. At the blonde boy's command, the IWA Bunshin charged the pony-sized moles and began efficiently cutting them to pieces and stabbing them with a mix of kunao and gansitsukan. Naruto deployed his Kaiten Shuriken and was pleased to see that the level up that the skill had undergone had increased the range from 4 meters to 5. Yay! Less chance of being attacked while using the jutsu. It was close, but his clones just and no more succeeded in killing the 3 moles before the time limit expired, with 0001 left on the clock. You have successfully defeated the minions of Madara within the time limit. It returns to the field exactly as it was when it left. The rumbling ground told Naruto that the oversized chakra mutant was going to make his grand entrance soon. He pulled his clones back so they wouldn't be crushed by the boss when he popped out of his hole. When that happened, the towering tunneler was met by a hail of kunao, shuriken, and stone spears that set it yowling in pain. In response, it sent another boulder at Naruto and his clones. It took another 2 grueling ore to kill the mole, but when it did, Naruto felt exultation. That was not a particularly hard fight, but it was a test of his stamina, which immediately made him grateful for the quirk that gave him a sufficiently high amount of STA. Grinding Grand Mole X3 defeated. You gain 750 EXP. Field Boss Madara, the massive mole defeated. You gain 1200 EXP. Your level has gone up by 1. 6 to 7. You have 5 attribute points to spend. Secondary Doton Affinity has leveled up. 2 to 3. Natural Futon Affinity has leveled up. 1 to 2. Doton, Gansitsukan no Jutsu has leveled up. 2 to 3. Whew, that is a lot of leveling up today. Naruto whistled slightly, impressed by the amount of skills that had leveled up. Gotta get more Futon Jutsu though. On to the best part. Loot. He delegated his clones to sorting through and gathering the loot from the 3 grinding grand moles while he dealt with the boss loot drop personally, the corpses having dissolved to nothing while he read the notification window. Trotting over to the pile that was just at the edge of the molehill, Naruto grinned at the cash that was sitting there. He grabbed it and put it in his inventory's money section. You have gained 10,000 Ryo? That'll help pay the rent. The blonde orphan muttered before turning his attention to the scrolls, of which there were 3. He grabbed one. You have acquired the Doton, Dangan no Jutsu scroll. Would you like to learn this? Y/N. Earth style, rock bullet jutsu is it? Naruto mused. Why not? It'll be nice to have a heavy hitting jutsu up my sleeve. Hitting the Y button, he watched in fascination as the paper and ink scroll dissolved into blue light before being absorbed into his chest. No matter how many times he saw that, he never got tired of seeing it. Doton, Dangan no Jutsu, active, LV1, 00.00 EXP. By slamming their hand or foot on the ground after completing the hand signs, the user can send a large boulder or menhir at the opponent. As this jutsu only requires 2 hand signs, it can be performed quickly. The drawback is its short range and slow speed, although these are somewhat improved upon at higher levels. Actively sends a menhir/boulder at the opponent up to 3 meters away, causing 50 points of damage plus an additional 10 points for every level of secondary Doton affinity you possess, max 10 levels. The difference between a menhir and a boulder is purely cosmetic and is entirely up to the user during the hand sign sequence. Hand signs, horse, monkey. Costs 50 CP per use. Needs to be leveled up before it'll be of use in combat, but it's cool, Naruto judged. For making an accurate judgment, you receive +1 WIS. I swear I am going to hurt whoever sends these messages. He growled with a tick mark on his head. Yeah, I'm not all that smart, but I'm not stupid, damn it. Shaking his head and muttering invectives under his breath, he grabbed the second scroll, which turned out to be a crafting recipe for a moleskin jacket. Not exactly useful, but it would be cool to make. Finally, he turned his attention to the last scroll. You have acquired the Doton, Moguragaku no Jutsu scroll. Would you like to learn this? Y/N. Hiding like a mole jutsu. Naruto quoted doubtfully before hitting the Y button. Well, why not? At least it can't hurt to see what it can do. Doton, Moguragaku no Jutsu, active, LV1, 00.00. Rumored to have been created in and is used extensively in Uegaku no Sato. The hiding like a mole technique allows one to change earth to sand by channeling chakra into it, thus allowing the user to dig through it in a similar manner to a mole. The chakra field covers the entire body and no more. The sand can be made to revert to earth after the user travels far enough away from it, leaving no sign that the user has passed by. The user can still tell where they are through the use of magnetic fields. The user can actively sink into and travel through earth and soil at walking speed. The user can actively track their position via magnetic fields, triangulating their position relative to anything attached to the earth, within a maximum range of 10 meters. Hand signs, dog, monkey, boar. Costs 40 CP per minute. Cool. I can think of more than a few ways to kick ass with this jutsu, even though I can't exactly attack with it. Naruto cackled as his mind explored all the possibilities. Now, what else is there? Aside from a truckload of cured moleskins, there was only one other thing left behind, a note. To the shinobi who defeated Midorowagara. If you are reading this note, then you have defeated the second field boss, a commendable achievement. Do not get cocky, however. The boss in the next field is stronger than the Berserk Fox Squirrel and Midorowagara put together. I would recommend acquiring a weapon other than kunai and shuriken before you confront him. Towards that end, once you have finished reading this note, channel some chakra into this paper. You will like the result. The Forest Lord. Okay, who is this Forest Lord guy? Naruto demanded as he looked around suspiciously. Is he watching me or something? Geez, alright, let's see what this paper is all about. Placing it very carefully on the ground, Naruto channeled chakra into it with a single finger. A puff of smoke erupted from the paper, revealing an ingot of a silvery metal. It was about the same length and breadth as an A4 notebook and was at least 4 inches thick. It had to weigh at least 50 kilograms. Observe. Chakra metal ingot. A solid bar of the rare and potent chakra metal. A skilled blacksmith can melt it down and forge it into weapons or armor. Metal purity, 999.90. Holy hell, this must be worth a fortune. The blonde said as his jaw hit the ground. He didn't know squat about the purity of metal, but he did know, from what he had heard around town, that the purer the metal, the more value it had. If that was anything approaching the truth here, the purity of this ingot meant he could buy the Uchiha clan compound with this block of chakra metal, if not a bit more than that. Picking the ingot slab seemed more appropriate, but whatever, Naruto heaved it with great difficulty into his inventory. He was really appreciating the fact that it was weightless. Whew, time to head home, I think. Naruto said, need to rest up for my match with Sakura-chan tomorrow. With that, he jogged off to the exit. The next day, after the academy, training field 14, Naruto peered cautiously into the training field, keeping a cautious eye open. This was a training field in use by an active duty quad of shinobi, not an abandoned one like training field 13. Standing in the center of the field was a boy who looked to only be about 3 years older than he was. The boy had neatly cut dark green hair, wore a pair of plain glasses and was dressed in the standard Konohachinen outfit. He was throwing kunai at a training kun dummy that was nailed to a nearby tree, making it look like some freaky voodoo ceremony. You can come out now, Academy student kun. The boy called without breaking stride in his throwing. You aren't half bad. Naruto noted as he left the tree line. He hadn't been using his stealth skill, just keeping quiet, like any ordinary academy student would be doing, not having learned stealth to the point the had. Chunin Squad 14 leader. LV-23 Kitamura Yusaku. So what are you doing here, kid? The Chunin asked as he turned around. I'm looking for Isaka, pardon me, Takasu Taiga. Naruto replied, I have a message for her from Higurashi Tenten. Kitamura paled slightly. Oh no, don't tell me she found out about Toradora. Kinda. Naruto replied, I found it in training field 13 while I was, well, training. I thought it could be fixed, so I took it to Tenten. She went spare and almost strangled me demanding to know where I found it. Yikes. Kitamura muttered, Taiga is due here in the next 5 minutes or so. You can wait for her here. Thanks. Naruto nodded. What was that fast draw technique you were using, by the way? Oh, that. The Chunin grinned. That was my Shurikenjutsu specialty, the Kodokanbyu, soaring sword dance, fast draw technique. It's a mid-Chunin technique. It makes my Hiko-Yoshin look slow by comparison. Naruto shook his head. I've got a lot of training to do. Don't be downhearted. A master with the Hiko-Yoshin can easily beat an amateur using Kodokanbyu. The Chunin told him kindly, if you like I can critique you on your technique. I thought active duty shinobi weren't allowed to teach academy students. Naruto pointed out, something his Jiji had told him. Ah, but I'm not teaching you. Kitamura corrected him with a grin, I'm just going to offer constructive criticism while we wait. And so it was that Naruto, through a quick 5-minute tutorial from Kitamura, earned 2 levels in his Hiko Yoshin fast draw technique by the time the newlyweds arrived. The Palm-Top Tiger. LV-24 Takasu Taiga. The Delinquent Dragon. LV-23 Takasu Ryaji. The girl he had come looking for was tiny. Really, she was only a head taller than he was, if that. She had tired eyes that indicated she had only gotten up not long ago. She wore black knee socks and shinobi sandals, a pair of sports shorts covered by a short skirt, a red kimono top, a Chunin vest and had a sword slung over one shoulder. Her long orange-gold hair was tied back into a sensible ponytail. Her husband was at least a couple of feet taller than she was. He was built solidly, but wasn't overly muscled. His face was scary because he had sanpaku eyes and his short blue hair had a long fringe as if to cover that up. He was dressed similarly to Kitamura and had the hilt of a tanto poking up over one shoulder. Takasu-kun, Taiga. Kitamura greeted his teammates, who were holding hands. Kitamura-kun. Taiga said with a yawn. Yusaku. Ryaji greeted him warmly, who's the kid? Tenten's found out about Toradora. Naruto stated bluntly. This bit of news jerked Taiga fully awake. She glared at Naruto with her dark amber eyes. Say what? She growled. Naruto though that he could see some panic past the grumpy anger in her narrowed eyes. The blonde boy sighed and recounted the tale for her yet again, with more details this time. Damn that bitch Ami. Taiga growled. Katsuragi Ami's in my class. Naruto protested. Kawashima Ami, from our class. Ryaji explained, she's a genin on Team 15, along with Kushida Minori and Kano Sumayer. An all-kunoichi team. This surprised Naruto greatly. The normal setup was similar to Team 14 in front of him, 2 ninja and 1 kunoichi. On rare occasions, it was 2 kunoichi and 1 ninja. Single-gender teams were very, very rare. Yep. When we graduated, there were more kunoichi aspirants than ninja aspirants in our class, so 2 all-kunoichi teams were formed. Kitamura replied, Ami's team were the only one of the 2 to pass. She and Taiga get along like oil and water. Stupid chihuahua. Taiga groused, stupid infiltration specialty. Stupid gauntlets. Naruto couldn't make out any kind of reason to those statements. Stupid chihuahua is what my wife here calls Ami. The male Takasu explained, they were rivals of sorts at the academy. Taiga specializes in Kenjutsu, while Ami was a stealth and infiltration specialist. Her weapons of choice are a matched set of gauntlets called the Kanabasami Kagoti, crab scissor gauntlets, that break most weapons that they catch between them. The damage looked like a hammer or some kind of massive weight hit the blade though, Naruto pointed out. Exactly what you're supposed to think. Taiga spat out, the gauntlets have a pair of spikes in each of them that are engraved with funjutsu that greatly magnify the concussive force of their hits. Being trapped between the gauntlets and hit by both spikes simultaneously from both sides is what destroyed Toradora. It was during a spar shortly before I proposed to Taiga. Ryaji took up the tale. Ami can be abrasive, personality-wise, and Taiga has a habit of being blunt to the point of rudeness, although she is getting better at that. Anyway, they got worked up in the spar and Toradora was broken. Ami threw it away afterwards, but it puzzles me as to how it got into training ground 13. Very likely, Naruto knew, his gamer power had something to do with it. Anyway, Tenten says that if you want Toradora back, you'll have to go to her shop in 2 days and explain exactly how Toradora broke. Naruto completed his message. Unfortunately, we are leaving on a border patrol mission tomorrow morning. Kitamura said regretfully, could you inform Higurashi-san that Taiga will pick it up in a month? She was pretty pissed when she was talking about refurbishing it. Naruto said slowly, she might sell it or something. If you're heading out tomorrow, I'd find her and explain everything today. That way, she can make a decision today about what to do with it. Sounds like a plan. Kitamura agreed, in fact, we'll all go and explain things. But Kitamura-kun. Taiga protested, before Ryaji interrupted her. No buts, Taiga. Her husband told her firmly, I'm not going to let you explain something on your own. You try and take the blame entirely on yourself and act surly and get into a fight. You know that as well as I do. Boo. Taiga pouted cutely at Ryaji. Okay then, I guess I'd better go then. Naruto said, good luck with Tenten. Thanks kid. Kitamura said with a nod, keep practicing and good luck graduating. Team 14, move out. With a swirl of leaves, the 3 Chunin vanished, leaving Naruto alone in the training field. He raised an eyebrow as a window popped open. Quest updated. A broken blade can still cut, You have delivered the message to Takasu Taiga and advised her to talk to Tenten as soon as possible, as her team is leaving on a mission. Return to Higashi's in 2 days' time to complete the quest. Okay, this is weird. Why is there no quest reward or failure notices? Naruto wondered. What an odd quest. The boy shook his head. He had to get back for his tutoring session with Sakura, not to mention the Taijutsu fight afterwards. That was something he was not looking forward to. Later on, Naruto's apartment. No, Naruto. Sakura sighed, you use this equation to calculate the angle of the shot and this one to calculate the force involved. I hate maths. Naruto groaned, when I become Hokage, I'm so doing something about this. The Pinkette had decided that today, they would attend to the theory of Shuriken Jutsu, although even she had to admit that she saw little point in it other than as a way to explain how to execute an especially complex throw, like the infamous Uchiha Shuriken Tawame no Jutsu, Uchiha Shuriken Deflection Jutsu. Needless to say, Naruto hated it. Come on Naruto. Sakura coaxed him, it's just numbers. Evil numbers. The blonde grumbled before reluctantly buckling down to fight against the endless legion of numbers in their many and varied complexities. That'll do, Sakura said an hour later. She had to admit that Naruto had done his best, although he had made several mistakes. Still, they were minor ones, so progress was perceivable if not all that quick. Thank Kami for that. Naruto cheered. Inside voice, Baka. Sakura rolled her eyes at Naruto's exuberance. Sorry, Sakura-chan. Naruto grinned, ready to get your butt kicked. As if. The Pinkette shot back, the one who is going to lose around here is you, Naruto. That's the spirit. The blonde boy's grin didn't abate an inch. Let's get down to the dojo room and we'll get right down to it. Sakura followed him down to the room he had showed her the previous day and was pleasantly surprised to see that it looked as good as new. The mats were brand new, the floorboards were freshly polished and the walls were clean. You did a good job, the Pinkette admitted. IWA Bunshin are really good at chores, as long as the orders are simple. Naruto replied with a shrug, clean this, scrub that, you know stuff like that. Anything more complicated tends to get messed up. This made the Kunoichi aspirant look thoughtful. She made a note to do some research on solid clone jutsu, as they really looked useful. Let's get to it then. Sakura stepped into the middle of the room and waited for Naruto to move opposite her. First to fall 3 times loses. Agreed. Yep. No gouging or hitting below the belt or you lose by default. Naruto said with a nod. How do we start things off then? Sakura asked. Like this? Naruto pulled a 1 Ryo coin from his pocket. When the coin hits the ground, we start. Sounds good. She agreed. With a simple flick of his thumb, Naruto sent the coin spinning into the air. Sakura assumed the basic defensive stance of the Academy's Heikage Taijutsu style, while Naruto assumed a neutral stance that favored neither offense nor defense. With a light metallic cling, the coin struck the floor. Naruto charged forwards and sent a kick flying at Sakura, who was taken aback by the speed of the attack. She barely dodged it by leaning back and then counterattacked by snapping her right leg up, hoping to hit him in the jaw, a standard counterattack in the Heikage style. Naruto grabbed her leg and pushed her off balance, making her land on her butt with a squeak of pain and surprise. Naruto, 1, Sakura-chan, 0. He proclaimed. He barely had to make an effort. Sakura thought in disbelief, I'm the top kunoichi and he had me on the ground in less than half a minute. Shannaro? Like I'm gonna let him win? Cha, her inner self snarled, adorned with weapons and ready to go to war, kick his ass. With a scowl, Sakura flipped to her feet and went on the attack. She started with a series of punches, moved on to a 3-kick combo and ended with a spinning roundhouse kick. Naruto just blocked the punches, dodged the kicks and grabbed her leg again. This time he executed a throw, sending Sakura tumbling over his head until she came to a stop when she crashed into the wall. Damn it. Sakura growled. She was already tired, which proved Naruto's point about her lack of stamina and physical strength, making her even madder. I'm the best kunoichi in our class? Why am I so weak? Iruka-sensei doesn't push you girls that hard. Naruto replied, you rigidly adhere to the textbook Heikage style and don't try and alter it to suit you. You also rarely train yourself because you are obsessed with your looks. Your diet prevented your body from building its muscles. Ino has a slight advantage over you because she's from a shinobi clan, but I could take both you and her on at the same time without too much trouble because you are both fangirls. With a roar of anger, Sakura leapt to her feet and charged at Naruto, fists swinging as she practically went berserk on him. I am nothing like Ino Buta, she roared. Really? Naruto asked as he noted that her swings were stronger than before. You both like the same guy, Sakura-chan. That says a lot about you both, I'd say. Shannaro. Sakura finally got Naruto with a solid punch to the gut that made him stagger and fall to the ground. Ow, man, I need to work on my stance. Naruto shook his head before grinning at Sakura. Nicely done. Like I'm going to lose. Sakura panted out. Sorry, Sakura-chan, but you are. Naruto replied softly. He spun around in a low kick, standing and kicking at the same time. He took Sakura's legs out from underneath her, making her slam into the floor and let out a large oomph. As air was forcibly expelled from her lungs. I lost. Sakura said blankly. Yep. You did well, but your lack of physical training was the cause of your defeat. Naruto said not unkindly. He helped her to her feet and led her back up to his room. So then, looks like I'm going to be getting help from you with my physical training. Sakura said with a sigh. She honestly hadn't expected to lose, but she had shaken on the wager and she was not in the habit of breaking her word, so she was going along with it. Losing to the class dope really stung though. Don't worry, Sakura-chan. Naruto said with a grin, once you graduate, you'll thank me. After Sakura leaves. With Naruto. Okay then, let's see what we have here. Naruto said before looking at the messages that had been popping up during the last hour or so. You have studied diligently. +1 int. Quest complete. Tough love, you have defeated Haruno Sakura in a taijutsu match. Although this has slightly lowered your relationship with her, it is for the greater good. Quest completion reward, -50 relationship with Haruno Sakura, +150 EXP, +500 Ryo. Beginner's Heikage Taijutsu has leveled up, LV5, LV6. That's cool, Naruto muttered. What the? Another quest. Quest alert. Growing a cherry blossom, you have been given the task of improving Haruno Sakura's physical condition. Do your best and show some results before graduation. Increase Haruno Sakura's STR and STA by 5 before graduation to succeed. Quest completion reward, +750 EXP, +600 relationship with Haruno Sakura, random item reward. Quest failure, +500 EXP, -200 relationship with Haruno Sakura. So I have just under 7 months to raise her STA and STR to a decent level. Does that include her getting rid of her malnourished status? Naruto wondered aloud. The window flashed for a moment before adding in the provision that the increase does not come from her malnourished flaw being removed. He had to get her to physically exercise. I had to ask. Naruto sighed before turning his mind. Refurbishing the dojo to basic usability had been good and everything, but he still had to get his hands on some training dummies so he could practice on them and hopefully level up his taijutsu to the point that he could finally absorb the intermediate book. Leveling these things up sucks ass. Naruto grumbled as he headed out to do some shopping. At the same time, Hokage's office. I see. Sarutobi sighed, this corroborates my own investigations, Inoichi-san. The elderly Hokage regarded the Yamanaka clan head thoughtfully. He had arrived here not long after getting off shift at the TNI department and had asked to see him about a disturbing matter. Who would remove information about the Uzumaki clan and Uzushiagakuer from our textbooks? Inoichi asked in bewilderment. The same kind of people who would throw out a 5-year-old boy from the orphanage. The same kind of people who would charge him extra for substandard food and water. Sarutobi growled, the same kind of people who would organize and take part in raiding his apartment and destroying all of his possessions save for those he secreted away just in case. That is the kind of malice we are dealing with here. Inoichi growled as well. The boy was the same age as his daughter and the thought of someone treating her like Naruto had been treated sent his anger skyrocketing through the roof. No child should have to endure that. Naruto-kun has tried to conceal the extent of the civilians' ire against him from me. The Hokage said sadly, it wasn't that he didn't trust me, far from it. It was that he thought he could handle it on his own. Where have you ever heard of a child who is not a shinobi making such a decision? One who has been forced to grow up faster than he should have. The younger man replied grimly, so his usual happy-go-nuts persona is a mask? Makes sense. Not a mask per se, a shield. Sarutobi corrected him, if the villagers don't see him affected negatively by their bullying, they'll not be as zealous in their acts of malice as they would otherwise be. At least, that is what I assume was the general line of Naruto-kun's thinking. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Inoichi quoted, it does sound like something a child would think up. I take it you've made it clear to him not to hide things from you anymore. About the villagers, yes. Sarutobi allowed, but it seems he has another secret that he hasn't told me about. Uma, horse, witnessed him absorbing a scroll that he had bought while under a henge. Absorbing. Inoichi sounded incredulous. It dissolved in a burst of blue light that then flew into Naruto-kun's chest. Sarutobi said, no chakra was detected and it was no genjutsu. I am, quite frankly, at a loss as to how to explain it. Why not just take the direct approach? Inoichi asked. Because that would reveal the fact he is being followed around Konoha, everywhere but the academy and training ground 13 anyway. Sarutobi replied, I see no issue in waiting for Naruto-kun to come to me, as he always does, eventually. Seeing Inoichi's skeptical look, the old man chuckled. Naruto-kun can be mature when the right circumstances call for it, but he is a 12-year-old boy. He will likely show off this bizarre skill to me in hopes of impressing me or something. He has a hard time keeping secrets from me. As you say, Hokage-sama. Inoichi said, will you be keeping the Umbu tracking him? Yes. Thanks to recent events, I can even justify it to Danzo. Sarutobi replied sourly. Shimura Danzo was a pain in his neck, someone who had been a part of Team Tobirama under the Night-Aim Hokage himself. The man had always thought that he should have been Sandaime Hokage rather than Sarutobi and had done his utmost to counterbalance the Hokage's weak policies with his personal Umbu group, Root. Danzo had been urging him at least once a month for the last 12 years to turn Naruto into a weapon for the good of Konohagakure, not that that was the real motivation behind it, Sarutobi knew. No, the old Warhawk wanted control of the village Jinchuriki to oust Sarutobi from his position and become the Hokage himself. For multiple reasons, this was not something that the Sandaime was going to allow to happen. For one, Danzo would get at his surrogate grandson over his cold dead body. For another, Danzo's policies would destroy Konoha, turn it into a mockery of Senjo Hashirama's vision. This he could not allow. I have been making a few inquiries and the Umbu have rounded up a few people, mostly former council members, oddly enough, and it would be appreciated if you could handle them personally tomorrow. Sarutobi continued, returning to the original topic of conversation. It will be a pleasure, Hokage-sama. Inoichi replied with a smirk, my wife is unhappy about Naruto's treatment and will be happy I'm working towards resolving some part of it. Good to hear. Sarutobi smiled. After a few more minutes of conversation about who Inoichi would be interrogating, the man left. Now then, when will you come to talk to me, Naruto-kun? Sarutobi mused.